you're enjoying it. So this week we were talking about structures of an organization, and I would say this is kind of a crossroad between two things. Number one, they are going to help us out a little bit more in understanding some major areas. And one of the major areas that we will be talking about is understanding the certain categories that are available for us, especially on how a company is surviving. So a lot of times when you look at a company, one of the major elements of a company is how they're structured. Okay, structure is very important because when you look who you're going to report to, when you look at how much workload a manager has, it all comes down to understanding the company and the organizational structure. Okay, if there's always an issue, usually with production, productivity, efficiency, coordination, for example, it could be a problem. Okay, and one thing that I mentioned to you guys in our Monday class was I told you guys that you would have a situation sometimes where you may be dealing with a company that in most cases that organization should be in a sort of ordeal where they might have a situation out there where there's a worker that comes in, maybe you in the future that walks into a company and then realizes that they don't know the bigger idea of what the company does. Okay, they just don't have a clue about it. Okay, they are simply detached from the whole company, and they come in, they do the work, they leave. Okay, and that is a reality for many workers. Okay, many workers are given a task. Okay, and they know that the company produces something, they just don't know how to get from the time that it arrives to the time that it sells. They don't understand the process, and that can be a problem because when you break down the process, you have departments, and departments take care for a lot of different things. So what we mentioned about in our class, we talked about the three levels of management. We talked about various options to organize a company and explained how specialization helps organizations become more adaptable, more reliable, and more agile. Okay, so we talked a little bit about explaining efficiency. We explained the specialization on what makes an organization better, explained the key terms related to the chapter and chain of commands, and then delegated the different span of controls that were being made. Okay, and beyond that, we also talked a little bit more about different add-ons. So we looked at the organization and we realized that through allocation of resources, and when we break up our resources, there can be a lot of things. Time is a resource. Okay, we just don't have enough time on our hands. Okay, most workers work 9 to 5, and because they work 9 to 5, they simply do not have the amount of time that's needed. Okay, so if you look at a workload, a lot of times the workload is so high that just 9 hours a day is not enough, and you may need more people. Okay, and now people are a resource. Okay, and people are not infinite. Okay, you have to find specialists. You have to find people who have a college degree. You have to find people who specialize in business. They know business. They know accounting. They know operations. They know marketing. Okay, that's where you guys will come in. And even equipment. Okay, you can buy so many equipment, but you don't always need it. Okay, when you look at equipment from, let's say, in a store, you have, for example, a cashier. Okay, they have equipment. You don't have enough cashiers, and they realize, why is this lineup so long? Okay, and a lot of times it's very long because we only have like 10 cashier counters, or we may only have 2 workers operating in it. Okay, so people and equipment do collide a lot of times. Okay, and then you also have to look at other major things on budget and money. So again, there are companies, not gonna lie, there will be companies out there that will give you, hundreds of millions of dollars of goods, okay, and will hopefully rely on the fact that the goods will go to something really, really nice, okay? But even in budget, the goal here is to achieve company objective. So a lot of times, if you become a manager of some sort, and we're talking about management, they have to identify the process and the people, department, and teams, and realize that if you're giving $1 million in a budget, okay, and you have to hire a specific amount of people, the goal here is that they have to contribute, okay? So if you are running a department of 10 people, every individual is being paid $100,000. The goal here is you want to attain the individuals, you want to attain their talent, and you want to help them grow. But at the same time, you want to help them create, revenue for the company, okay? So one individual is a superstar. That person creates about $1 million worth of revenue. However, not everybody does the same, but if somebody does like, $80,000 that year, it might be a problem. Okay, it might be a problem because we're giving that person 100,000 and it's being a loss. Okay, so it comes at the weight of the other workers as well. So a lot of times when we start to look at the level of management, when we look at it in a lot of different pyramids and the different amounts of workers that we have, top managers, they're the C-level executives. They set objectives, scan horizons, plan and make the decisions, and they are on the top. There's not many of them. We realize that there's only about 5, maybe even less, C-level managers. And in between those managers, you also have executive senior vice presidents, executive assistant vice presidents, and so forth, that will be in the top, that will have a position in which they have a lot of responsibility and decision-making process all at the same time. Then you have the middle managers, okay, where the top managers have a vision on what the company wants to be. Middle managers now take that vision, oversee it, work with first line managers, and then report to top management. Okay, so they develop and implement activities. The goal is to make sure that if they're giving them a budget, they make the budget and they have choices that they need to make. But again, it's limited. Okay, so if a middle manager has a crazy idea and that idea is not always going to be told, unfortunately he or she doesn't have much options. Okay, unfortunately they end up being in the obsolete. And then what occurs here is that when you look at top management will make the rules, but at the same time, they develop and implement the activities for everybody else. Okay. And then of course you have the first line managers. First line managers coordinate activities altogether. So they are management, but they might be supervisors. They might be reporting to the middle managers, okay, involved in the day-to-day operations of things, and make sure that what the middle manager is given, they will do it, okay? And they have individuals down below, okay? So a lot of times you may have a middle manager that may have a title, for example, like a regional manager, a district manager, a national manager, and they can separate the company however they would want. But I do want to mention to you guys that the way you break apart the company, every company, every industry is completely different. Okay, so every certain company has their own objectives, and then when they go abroad and they set up a company in a new country, then there's new objectives that need to be placed as well. So when you look at top level managers, top level executives routinely scan the external environments. They want to make sure that any opportunities, any threats are going to be held appropriately. They're going to redirect the different efforts when need be in making sure that the efforts will take more time. And they need a considerable portion of their planning time to make major decisions, okay? They represent a company in the dealing and other business government agencies sometimes, and they also promote the company to the public. So a lot of times the face of the company might be a top manager. Some job titles, as I mentioned to you, could be C-level executives. So you're looking at the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, CFO, Chief Financial Officer, COO, Chief Operating Officer, CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, CIO, Chief International Operation Manager, CIO. Okay, and even presidents, vice presidents, senior managers, and so forth. They may be in top management as well. Okay, and then below them, you have, of course, the middle management. Now, middle management, what they have to do, especially in technological companies, financial companies, they have to convert the objectives of top level, convert it, and bring it down to the bottom level. Okay, they're mostly responsible for developing and implementing activities. They're responsible for allocating resources needed to achieve the objective, and of course, what the top management requests, top management will get. Okay, and below the individuals here, you also have first line managers. Now, first line managers are considered supervisors. They supervise employees. They supervise all the direct level, entry level employees and their activities to make sure that the work being performed throughout the company is consistent with the plans of both top and middle management. And at this level, most people would acquire the first managerial experiences as a first line manager. So they're not going to give you experience as you go forward, but they give you experience as you go up. And the job titles vary considerably, but the designation include a manager, a group lead, an office manager, a foreman, even a supervisor, or somebody who you report to. Most of the time, they are defined as a first line manager. Okay. So again, they don't have much say on the power. They cannot mostly control the budget, but they do have management abilities, and they can hire people. They can let them go. They can do a lot of things all together and eventually make dues of the company. Okay. So as I mentioned, when we look at organizational structures, many companies like to get the job done. So they break apart the company in specialization. And a lot of times you see departmentalization. Okay. So when you build a company and you build organizational structure, a lot of times you engage managers in two activities: job specialization, where you divide tasks into the job roles, and departmentalization, where you're grouping jobs into units. Okay. An organizational structure outlines the various roles within an organization, in which position reports to who, how an organization will departmentalize its work, and take note that an organizational structure is only an arrangement of a position that's most appropriate for your company at a specific point in time. Okay. So given the time and the rapid change in the environment, many business operations operate a structure that work today that eventually might be outdated tomorrow, because you have a position that doesn't have a meaning. You have the individuals that need a better role, and some people leave the company, some people come into the company. Things change. Okay, so that's why you hear so often about companies restructuring, altering existing organizational structures to become more competitive once conditions have changed. When we look at the process of specialization, a lot of times organization activities are clustered into related tasks and handed into certain individuals or groups. What we call this specialization, and the design of a company structure is done either in finding out the activities that need to be performed in order to achieve the company goals, number one, or breaking down these activities into tasks that can be performed by individuals or groups or employees. Okay. So what are the advantages of specialization? There are several things that we have to take into consideration here. Specialization, first and foremost, it leads to efficiency. Okay, so you have a specialized department for documentation, a special department for accounting, a department for efficiency, and so forth. Okay, and then of course the department will be responsible for paying its own invoice, making sure that they handle the functions of the day-to-day tasks, the reporting, and it would be very efficient if someone whose job was, to pay the bills, you have somebody responsible for that, okay? So when you increase efficiency, the result in jobs that it's easier to learn and the rules that are clear to the employees. But the approach has a lot of ups and downs here. Doing the same thing over and over again leads to people leaving, unfortunately. There's a lot of dissatisfaction in work when you do the exact same thing over and over again. Not many people do like it, okay? Sitting in an office, crunching numbers all day long, or possibly processing, documents. It will take its toll, okay? So a lot of people, they do not like that. And that's where specialization might hurt you, okay? So before long, companies may notice people leaving the company, people calling in sick, high turnover rates, and of course, the workers leaving the organization and being replaced. That is a cost that many companies do take. So a lot of times the traditional grouping of job results is that in different company structures, and for the sake of simplicity, there are two focuses here. So we either have a functional organization or a divisional one. And what we mentioned last time is that when you have a functional organization, basically what you're doing here is you have people and skills, and you only focus on them in different departments. So a lot of times there are a number of people in finance, operation, marketing, sales, human resources, production, research and development, and each unit is headed by an individual that has expertise in the unit's particular function. Okay, so there are a number of advantages and disadvantages of the functional approach. The structure is very simple to understand and enables the company to staff people and specialize in particular areas. Everyone in the marketing group would probably have similar interests. And as a result, they do the exact same thing. And because of the homogeneity of the company or the function, it does have drawbacks. And some of the problems is communication problems, where in some cases, because of communications, decision-making between units and even promoting interdepartmental conflicts will be a problem, okay? The marketing department, for example, might butt heads because they do not agree with accounting. Accounting doesn't like HR, HR doesn't like operations, and of course, there's always problems on controlling the flow of information. So what many companies do a lot of times is that when you're a large company, you can go from functional organization, we have departments, to more of a divisional organization. Okay, so large companies often find out that an unruly way to operate as one large unit is under a functional organization. They have so many products, they have so many deliverables, and the sheer size of the company makes it difficult for managers to oversee operations and serve its customers, okay? Each divisional function relatively is autonomous because it contains most of the functions of the expertise from production, marketing, accounting, finance, and human resources all in one. And you look at the division where the appropriate way of structuring the operation is to achieve the overall company goals. Okay, so towards the end, division can be formed according to product, customers, process, or even geography. Okay, so in Canada, of course, we have a huge geography. And because we have that geography, what we can break apart is in a couple of different options. And again, every company is different, so we cannot just pick one that is the right one. Geography can be, let's say, based on population. Okay, so mostly the population is in Ontario and Quebec. So you may have multiple managers working in these divisions. You may break apart every province needs a manager. You may also have a situation where, based on a process, you may want to break it apart. So one process, for example, let's say you have, if goods move through several steps during the production, a company might opt for a process division. So again, if you're buying an item from, I'm not sure, online versus brick and mortar, which is the store, there's two divisions that handle that altogether. And some companies, like with the customer, they prefer divisions where structure enables them to serve better in various categories. So sometimes you have customers who are B2C, where it's business to customer, and you have different takes on them. And then you have B2B, where you have a whole new delegation that needs to be done. And last but not least, you can also break the company apart into product, which means that a company is structured according to its product and lines. So car companies, for example, like General Motors, Ford, and so forth, they can break apart the division based on their product line. So GM has the Buick, the Cadillac, Chevrolet, GMC. All these can be broken apart easily without any problem. Okay. So the idea that I want you guys to kind of understand here is that many companies, what they do either before they start, after they start, or in the middle, is that they create company charts, okay? Organizational charts. So a diagram delineating the interrelationships of positions within the organization is very, very important, okay? Over time, companies revise their organizational structure, and this is where we talk about change management. Organizational structure that would change in the external environment. It's sometimes uncommon, for example, for a company to adopt a functional structure in the early years, because functional structure may not always be successful when you're a company of only 5 people. And it's not uncommon, for example, for a company to also become bigger and more complex. It might even move to a divisional structure, perhaps to accommodate new products or to become more responsive to certain customers or a geographical area. Okay. All right. So again, like I mentioned, the takeaway in our discussion for today is when we looked at companies need structure. Okay. The idea here is that when you start to work, a lot of times you are going to be working in a company and you will have something you need to work to deal with. Okay. I always like to talk about, my work even in Centennial. I'd like to give you, some examples about it. And even in college, we have different management. Okay, we have top level management, the dean, the president of the school, and then you have divisional managers. Where in this particular case, we're in the School of Business. Okay, in the School of Business, they have their own manager. Okay, and I have not only first line managers but middle managers. But a lot of times the first line manager may help me redirect some ideas, okay? So for example, if I have a problem with a student, there is a department that deals with that. If I have a problem, for example, with IT, there's a manager that can deal with that, okay? So they can delegate the work, okay? And again, what if I don't get paid, all right? There's payroll, okay? And payroll works with the teachers, payroll works with the school administrators, with the operations and so forth. The idea here is that every single morning when we start, normally we start work at around 6 in the morning. We need to operate properly, and then at midnight we need to close. Okay, so our campus works for about 18 hours, and we need to be functional. Okay, there's something you cannot control. For example, if we have a kiosk, a booth or something. I know that we have second cup in the school. These are things we cannot control. Okay. But for everything else, we could control it. We could delegate it. We could make sure that whenever we are going in the area of the delegation, we want to make sure that the delegation is going to be in and eventually will be an important aspect, important part of making sure that this is going to be something that we definitely want to look forward to. Okay. All right, guys. So here is the option for today. Okay. We have about 27 students today. What I want to do right now, the time is around 11. I want to give you what we call a floater. Okay. Have you ever heard about Florida Day? A float. Okay, like floating on the ocean. I want to give you time right now to work on, maybe somebody did hear about it. Who knows? Yeah, no, sir. Well, Nathan, you're in luck. I'll tell you what floater is. A floater is a data we float so that we can pass and move to the next stage. Okay, so what I want to do right now is give you an opportunity the next hour and a half to be able to work, number one, with your team. Let me know any issues, any problems you may have. Some of you guys are sending me messages. Awesome, I like that. Of people who are now passing part 1 and 2, which is communicate with the team and work in harmony. So again, I'm not going to mark you in the middle of it. I'm going to mark you in the end. So again, if you have students who do not participate, have not communicated yet, I know many of you guys have, which is awesome. Let me know and I will deal with them on a one-on-one basis. But as I mentioned, the ride is not free, so make sure that they will be able to give you the information. Also, I want to mention that I placed the group work, the group submission, on a different week. And what I've done is I brought it back again. So if you want to look at it, it's available in week 13. Make sure that you can submit it. Make sure that somebody in your team can submit it as well. You don't have to submit everybody, but if you have at least one person submit it, it should be fine. If everybody submits it, even better, okay? Because a lot of times I do clicks and I forget 1 or 2 students, so that could be a problem. But nonetheless, of course, it will be advantageous if all of you guys do some submission as well, okay? All right, so again, I left you guys the option. Okay, the option is if you need some support from me, I'm here for you guys. Okay, this is a good opportunity because we have 2 weeks left of school. I want to make sure we can do it correctly and without any problems whatsoever. So please let me know if you have any questions, any concerns, and I will eventually help you with it. But nonetheless, what we will do is we'll conclude here, okay? If you need my assistance for either your individual case study, your group work, and whatnot, let me know, okay? Send me a message or get in contact with me. If you prefer to do it offline, again, you guys are your own responsibility. You can be able to do that, okay? And I'm here to help anybody that needs assistance right now. So if you don't need assistance and you are, as you call it, grabbing the bull by the horn, you can call it a class, okay? But if you need some assistance, or if you prefer to have that, intimate class of virtual class where, we can always communicate and so forth, you can still stick around, okay? No problem. But I'm gonna give you guys the opportunity to use the time right now to catch up, okay? And that's what Florida is all about, to catch up and to make sure that you can be on top of your game, all right? So if you need my assistance, I'm here. If not, sayonara, take care, and I will see you guys here hopefully next week. Okay, take it easy, have a good one, and I will see you guys here very, very shortly. Bye for now. Thank you. All right, but again, guys, if you need my help on anything, all right, if you have any questions, thank you, Raquel. Let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help. I am your extra team member. I'm your cheerleader. I'm your support agent. I am everything you want me to be. Nope. Here we go. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Joshua. All right. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one and good luck. And I'll see you guys here very, very shortly. Prof, where can I see the questions for the in-class discussion? Thank you, Grace, as well. Dan's, which in-class discussion are you referring to? I haven't released one this week. Which in-class discussion were you talking to? Week 12. In week 12, I would suspect that it will be in week 12. If you look onto it, 1 second. Week 12. Dan, if you click on the in-class unit discussion, it says this week I would ask you to find positions online, and I give you a website. Come back to me with what you're interested in the position, paid benefits, incentives, and so forth, and how can you negotiate. So what I'm looking for is how can you answer the following questions, all right? So Dan, if you look at it, I'm gonna send it to you in private. These are the questions, all right? So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for you to answer them. It's a very short one, okay? If you find a company, you do it, and then you're good to go. Okay, no problem, no problem. Thank you, Lumi. Thank you, Don. I hope it helped you, and good luck answering the question. Looking forward to your response, and looking forward to marking it.
I want to let you know that I created a group. Oh, good stuff, Sean. Good stuff. All right. Always glad that it happened. Okay, awesome. I looking forward to hearing from you and hearing how well the team did. And let me know if I can assist.